BBC News with Fiona MacDonald. Mass protests are taking place in several cities in Israel after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sacked his Defence Minister Yoav Gallant. Mr Gallant was dismissed after he called for controversial plans to overhaul the justice system to be scrapped. Anna Foster reports.
We're in central Jerusalem. This protest started outside the home of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and it's now broken away, and they're heading towards the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, because of course this is all about legislation that these protesters are trying to stop. The problem is police are out, of course, soldiers are out as well. I've just seen one with his baton drawn, and in fact a water cannon has just come flying down this street, drenching this particular group of protesters as it went. They are determined to get to the parliament and to make their feelings felt.
Campaigners hoping to make Berlin climate neutral by 2030 have failed to get their plan approved in a referendum. Damien McGuinness is in the German capital.
It's got a lot of support, very active people pushing this issue. On the other hand, it's also got a lot of opposition. Because if this went into law, what would then happen, in order to make Berlin climate neutral within the next 7 years, you'd have to put forward some pretty drastic measures, including renovating all public buildings, a lot of private buildings as well, to make them climate neutral, and putting severe limitations probably on car travel within the city and really upping the amount of public transport. So all of that would be expensive, which is why critics say it's just not affordable.
Authorities in the US say more severe weather could be on its way to the southern state of Mississippi after tornadoes tore through the region on Friday night. 26 people died in the storm. Sophie Long reports.
Francisco said the only warning he had was the noise of the wind, a sound that will haunt him forever.
It was terrifying, and it's like something that I never want to go through again.
He survived by sheltering in his bathroom, the only bit of the house that's still partially standing. There is some long-term resentment here. Mississippi is the poorest state in America, and some feel forgotten by leaders in the nation's capital.
You forgot about us? That's not right. That is very heart-wrenching, other than we lost everything and we feel that we don't have support from the superior people also.
President Biden described what happened here as heartbreaking and said he and the First Lady are praying for those who had lost loved ones.
The Italian Coast Guard says a migrant rescue ship funded by the British street artist Banksy has been seized in Lampedusa after it failed to follow instructions. Italian officials had ordered the vessel to dock in Sicily after it carried out a rescue operation, but the ship disobeyed and went instead to help 3 more migrant boats. World News from the BBC. The Colombian President Gustavo Petro has said he felt his country was partially responsible for the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse in Haiti nearly 2 years ago. Mr Moïse was killed in his official residence by a group of mercenaries made up mostly of former Colombian soldiers. NATO has condemned Russia for what it called its dangerous and irresponsible rhetoric, a day after President Putin announced plans to deploy tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus. NATO said it remained vigilant but hadn't seen any changes in Russia's nuclear posture. Ukraine warned the move would make Belarus a nuclear hostage and called for an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council. Yuri Sak, an advisor to Ukraine's Ministry of Defence, said he was not surprised by Mr Putin's decision.
We have been living with the hypothetical threat of the possible nuclear strike, from day one of the large-scale invasion. And we have seen how Russia is employing these tactics of nuclear blackmail, around the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in particular, now this. So nobody can rule out everything, okay? We don't have a crystal ball, but we understand that this is the standard practice of this terrorist regime.
A leaked message from the owner of Twitter, Elon Musk, suggests the social media company is now worth less than half what he paid for it just 6 months ago. Musk offers staff the opportunity to buy stock grants worth nearly $20 billion. He bought Twitter for $44 billion in October. Brazil's agriculture minister has said that more than 20 agreements that President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva was expected to sign in China have been put on hold until he's able to travel to Beijing. He was forced to cancel a state visit this weekend after being diagnosed with pneumonia. BBC News.